Hello, Devlin here with you, and welcome to another edition of my pirate radio show. And I'm here today, and I'm not alone. I like these days when I'm not alone because that means somebody else is in the studio with me. Actually, this is kind of a radio ambush. Because he came to visit me earlier today, and I just said, "Oh, by the way, you're going to do the radio show with me." I think we've talked a little bit about doing it, and he's technically been on the show. He was in a segment when we went out for a picnic, but I basically decided, okay, I need to do an episode real fast. Hey, he's coming over, so he's going to be my co-host tonight. I have no clue what we're going to talk about, but that's never stopped us from talking before. This is a man I've known since high school, and we've been very close all through the years. Like most friendships, sometimes there's little blips and booms, but we always seem to find our road back to each other. And luckily, we are now on that, and I think this is a permanent one. And I adore this man. He is just. When I met him, he was just this real tough guy, and I think I've been lucky enough to be one of the people to get to see his softer side, and I'm not going to embarrass him anymore. I'm going to introduce him. My co-host tonight is David Jamieson.
Hi, Dawn.
Hello, how are you? He calls me Don. That's how old we are.
Red in the face.
Why are you embarrassed? I've said nice things.
The softer sides of Sears.
Now, you're a military man. Should I address you officially with your rank?
Definitely not.
No? Are you allowed to tell your rank here?
Yes. I'm a Master Corporal in the Canadian Armed Forces.
And that's all he can talk about military-wise.
Royal Canadian Air Force.
Oh. And you have dedicated your life to it. Like, that's basically what you've done since, like, right out of high school. Am I right?
Pretty much right out of high school. Had some meaningless jobs in between while I waited for a response from the recruit center.
And then one day they said, yeah, we need to fill the quota. It's his time.
Yeah, we need another redhead.
And now I've known you, as I said, since I was a teen, but this is always the interesting part because now I got to interview you because the people listening don't know you.
Right.
So maybe you will surprise me with knowledge I did not know. Let's start with an easy one. Where were you born?
Here in Hamilton. I thought it was St. Joe's, but it might have been Henderson. One or the other, somewhere near the escarpment.
Your mother wasn't sure? Or?
No, I can't remember.
Well, you were rather young.
I was very little. And they made me come out.
What, as you
C-section.
Oh,
C-section,
okay.
baby.
Were you late, baby?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was late. Yep.
Yeah, so was I. My parents tried for prizes, but they didn't get them. I refused to come out at such a meaningless thing. I was supposed to be just before New Year's, and then I was late. And then my mother, the doctor who was with it, said, why don't we induce labor? I have never had a New Year's baby. And so back in the day, in the 60s, they actually fed her all this cod liver oil to induce pregnancy. Now I hear that's pretty bad, and I see old little rascals, and everybody's like, ooh. So she apparently drank tons of this, and I come waltzing out on January 2nd because I don't come out for cheap prizes because apparently New Year's babies get that.
They do.
Tell us about your family, siblings.
I'm
pretending like I don't know.
He's pretending that he doesn't know that I have a sister. She lives in the city still. She works for a computer firm. She's not into computers. She's a bookkeeper.
Very cool. And she's married with a child?
She is married, oddly enough, to my brother-in-law.
What a coincidence!
And they have a son, yes. Brother-in-law is a mechanic. Heavy diesel.
He works on Jeeps a lot.
It works on
I'm
Jeeps
on his
a lot.
Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
We chat a lot.
Yeah. So you've seen, and I believe I've shown you. You've seen the maiden voyage of the square peg. His
Yes,
big
you
orange
showed that,
Jeep.
yeah. They might actually watch this. They're big fans of mine, so.
All right.
If they see your face on the YouTube thing, they'll be like, I wonder if he's going to talk about us. And your parents? They've been together for a long time.
Long time. 66, 67. I want to say 67.
They're almost been together as long as I was born.
And longer than me.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
longer than me, which I've heard is a good thing.
Yeah, that you've got one up on Corda. Oh, sorry, did I reveal a secret there? Heather's laughing her ass off. Don't.
Good, good.
She's doing the mess. She was at her parents' wedding, I believe. Let's just keep it at that.
Father is a heavy diesel mechanic by trade. Your listeners can figure out what they want from there. And he drives school buses now, which is...
Does he really?
When I tell other friends that. And when I tell Dawn that, everyone is shocked. That's because they've met my father.
Your father, I describe as groundskeeper Willie. Honestly, looks like him.
I've
has a little bit of his disposition at times.
I've heard that description, and I've heard Yosemite Sam.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. He's got a little more height.
The ex-mother-in-law described him as Yosemite Sam.
the ex-mother-in-law. I did not know he's driving school buses now. With his disposition.
With his disposition.
Don't get me wrong.
Behave.
Don't get me wrong. He's a lovely guy. Always scares me a little bit. I remember one time we picked you up at the airport. This is just after you went to the military, and that was probably one of the longest drives I ever had because I tried to make small talk, and your dad was not good at making small talk.
Still not.
And. Yeah, it was, but he's a lovely guy. Once you talk with him, he's sweet
that was
now.
The same trip that when you picked me up, it's probably the longest I've ever spoken at once. Most talking I've done in any of our conversations, if I recall right. I think I was a little sleep deprived. I used to fly in the red eyes all the time.
Mm-hmm. I don't ask my co-hosts this, but I'm going to throw it to you. What traits do you think you get for we'll start with your mom. Do you think you have any of your mom's traits?
Oh, absolutely.
Which ones do you want to admit to?
I don't know how to describe them. More giving, more trusting.
Those were good descriptions.
They were. Yeah, I guess that would be the what I think of my mother and what I think I got from her.
And your father, what traits?
Courage of your convictions. See, I'm thinking how to say it good. Gooder.
Gooder, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because your dad, one thing I respect about your dad is that he may be a little gruff, but he knows who he is.
Absolutely.
Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts.
Exactly. And when he gives his word, he's going to keep his word.
Good or bad.
Exactly.
Sorry, he was going to say that, and I'm almost read his mind sometimes.
It's scary.
So you went to school in Hamilton.
Did. And I was heartbroken that when they tore our high school down, I did not get an invitation to see it happen.
That's horrible. I thought
that goes out to you, Mr. Coombs.
Because he's a big listener here, but somebody will tell him.
Yeah. If they can find him.
So pretend I didn't know you in high school. What would you say you were like in high school, and then I'll verify it.
Loner.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Fairly short fuse. It got shorter and then it got better. You got shorter while I was in the military out west, but then it got back to being a little more mellow. Too smart for my own good.
He loves being interviewed like this.
I love it. Yeah.
How the hell did you and I become friends? I know how, but
Yeah.
What? I know where, because we met through drama, right? Drama class.
Yeah,
we both
did
drama. I did drama accidentally. I stumbled into it. I don't know. You were just a fan of drama, right?
No, I knew that I was a loner, but I knew at the time I was planning to be an engineer, and I knew that engineers had to work with other people and had to be able to give presentations. So I figured taking drama would make me better at that. That was why I took drama initially.
Nice, nice. Now, I usually can think back and figure out that moment when we begin friends. With you, I don't. I don't remember I remember we were in a play together.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, but I don't remember like that moment where we started saying, let's hang out, or how we first hung out. You might not either. Other people I can. Was it just not that memorable?
No, I think, I do know we were rehearsing for a play for sure, because I initially was coming over to run lines with you.
Okay.
That's for sure. I can't remember if that was with drama club or drama class, though.
I wasn't in drama club. What, do you think I was a nerd? No, I'm just kidding. I know, I'm kidding.
His pants are on fire right now.
I was not.
Not only is he,
Wait a minute,
not
what
is he
the
only a flamer, his pants are on fire.
What the fuck is drama club? You mean drama class?
No, I mean drama club.
I was not in drama club.
So you never went to the Sears Drama Festival to perform plays?
Yes.
Yes, you did. Yes, that was drama class. That was drama club, dude.
Oh, God.
Newsflash.
So you fucking come here and tell me that I was a nerd.
I outed you as a drama club. I outed you for drama class.
Because I just thought that I was in drama class to get the credits, and then to move on to I'll audition for a play or two. Well, that's not drama club, was it really? Oh, my God. Okay, so we did the club, and we must have just ran lines and then hung out. Because when I think about it, yeah, I know you were a loner.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing me, I probably thought you were really cute, because I still think you are. But I still don't know how you and I would have, because we were exact opposites. I was an emotional wreck. You were, steadfast and strong. I don't know where those words came, but I like them. What was it?
Remember.
Okay, please.
Maybe you don't. What I remember is a person from in drama class that I won't name was trying to force you to take a particular part in one of the scenes that we were supposed to present for class.
Okay.
And as far as I know, you'd never seen anyone put that person in their place. And I did.
Not at that point, no.
And you didn't, so you did not have to do the part that they thought you should do. You got to do the part that you wanted to do for once.
All right, I see where you're going, yeah.
And that's why I won't name any.
I know, I see where ooh, the seedy side of Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. But I still, I'm glad we became friends. First of all, I'm not questioning this because what the hell? But I'm thinking of it, we were so different. But I guess in high school, it was like the Breakfast Club. Different people melded together at times. So the good news is all those kids stayed friends in the Breakfast Club because I stayed friends with David all these years.
I've heard he also influences the weather.
So when was your decision to I need to be a military man? When did you know in your heart? Putting him on the spot. He just found out he was being on this radio.
Well, I don't think it was so much a moment as when I did something stupid that prevented me from ever being able to be a cop. And
what?
Yeah, you didn't know that. I was bad boy.
Are you telling me these things?
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot now. What did you do? Or you're not allowed to talk about it because you're military.
Got caught stealing.
What did you steal?
Old enough to get in trouble for it, but young enough to not go to jail. But old enough that it would stop you from getting to be a cop anymore. And also some point around about the same time, I realized that I really didn't like going to school. I liked learning things, but I hated going to school. However, the school system let me down in never showing me that university and college were entirely different from going to school. So maybe if they had done that, I might have followed a different path, but they didn't. So I know I don't want to go to school the way they're schooling us as teenagers, and I can't be a cop. Fear of fire, so not suitable for being a firefighter. I could fight the fire and then run away. So first responder, sure. Let me run away from the fire. I'll throw the extinguisher at it. And then I knew that I wanted to contribute to society somehow. And I knew that I didn't like bullies, as we just established with the other story there.
Yeah.
So I put those two together and said, well, I can be in the military. And when I went in, I wanted to drive tanks. I wanted to be an armored corps crewman. But then they did all those aptitude tests, and they said, well, we see that you've only got, at the time I only had my grade 12, but by your aptitude testing, you've got a couple years of college done. Oh, okay. So you got too much brains to be a crewman or an infantryman or an artilleryman. We're not going to put you in
They actually do that? They measure to see you're too smart to be put in the front.
They have aptitude tests.
Wow. So where did they put you?
Based on those, they guide you towards something that they think will suit you. And that's when they said, well, performance-oriented electronic training. So they're going to teach me about electronics, and that at the time fed a bunch of trades. So I still got to head towards things that went boom. I said, okay, I finished my poet training. I said, well, make me an air weapons systems technician. I want to work on rockets and bombs and missiles and explosive ordnance disposal. Is what I was hoping I would get to do, because that all fell into that air weapons trade. However, once I got into the trade, I spent a bunch of time on a manned range, which was very boring. From there, I went to an ammunition depot or a bomb dump, and that was even more boring. Then, as I was coming due for an opportunity to move from there, they had just filled all the maintenance positions for missiles on the base that I was on, but they had openings in an avionics lab. And air weapon systems techs have the electronics training to work in the lab, so I did. Decade or so goes by, Canada shrinks its military. Part of doing that is they combine trades. They take 4 trades and make one out of them. So air weapon systems, because they knew mechanics and electronics, had to pick one or the other. I hated all the mechanical stuff of assembling bombs and being on the range, so I said electronics, please. And so I'm an avionics technician. That ate up some time, didn't it?
No, that was like the story of your life. I felt we should have applause at the end of it. There's no life like it. Does it, and after that wonderful thing, I'm going to ask you a stupid question, because that's what we do here on the Pirate Radio Show. Do you ever get worried that, I think we've talked about this before. When I was younger, while you were like in your training, I used to watch late night Three Stooges on CKVR, and I was shocked at the amount of recruitment stuff they would put during the hour of Three Stooges they have.
Uh-huh.
Does that bother you to know that they want people who's watching the Three Stooges at 4 in the morning?
No, I think that's appropriate, since most of the people that I know from work, we all love South Park and American Dad and Family Guy, so it's just the modern version of that type of humor. So
you don't think they're just thinking, hey, you stupid idiot watching Three Stooges, you should be doing something with your life?
I can't answer that. That one might fall into a national secret.
Okay. Oh, they actually have secret meetings. Like, where should we put our time? Do we put it on something, brainy? No, put it on the Three Stooges at 4 in the morning. I am kidding. I have all the respect for you. There's more to you than the military. We'll talk, a little bit about your likes and stuff, too. Not like a Playboy thing. Like, I like long walks and cars.
But I do like cars.
And long walks.
And long walks.
But if you like a car, just jump in the car. Forget the long walk. That's just me. But what was I going to say? Okay, on a recent episode, I just did Christmas versus Remembrance Day. And I told you that I used you as an example. I don't know if I named you, but I'm outing you now.
Well, fair's fair.
And I thought it's only fair that you get to, tell your
Rebuttal.
thing. And you told me a kind of funny story that, like, apparently other soldiers don't think the same way. And so we were on this, and I did a beautiful rant. You haven't heard it yet, and probably never will, but if you do listen to it, I basically said I don't think it's offensive, and that I was shocked when you told me, but I respected you because you are a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I wonder if other soldiers feel that way. Maybe I should rethink this. And what did you tell me?
Apparently, he shouldn't rethink things because one of my coworkers had his Christmas decorations up right after Halloween, and another coworker put his up 2 or 3 days ago. So apparently, I'm a dying breed.
Now, but why do you feel it's? Give your opinion here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's.
Why do you feel?
Oh boy, I'm going to make a hippie song reference. And I don't even know my hippie band. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I can help you with that.
Turn.
The Birds.
The Birds. Yeah.
There is a time.
Right.
They don't say there is a time for Christmas.
They do. Time for every purpose under heaven. Each thing in its time. I don't want you to do Remembrance Day stuff before Halloween. So don't do Christmas stuff before Remembrance Day.
So it's that simple. The Birds.
The Birds.
So here I had this meaningful discussion, and you never told me once it's all because of the Birds.
I could condense it. You didn't think I could condense it down to one word 3 times.
10, 10, 10. Well, I'm glad you gave your opinion, and it does make sense. And did you notice that even though I support it, you came over? Did you see any Christmas?
Nope.
No, I still had poppies up. I wasn't like, get them out of there. There you go. I do not play Christmas music till the end of November, but I was just supporting the people that do, but I'm glad you got to state your case.
Thank you.
So has the military been everything you wanted?
I could have done more deployments when I was younger. They waited till I was getting old and broken to start asking me to go places. And then they always wanted to send me to really nice places to work. And I wondered why I kept saying, no, don't send me there. Every time they wanted to send me up north to alert the Arctic, I was like, yeah, I'll go.
Why?
And then they'd be like, well, we want to send you down to Florida. I'm like, no, send someone else.
Are you just a burden for punishment? Or?
Apparently, yes. I don't want you to send me somewhere nice and then not let me go and see the nice because I'm busy working. If you send me up north, there's nothing else to do. I might as well work.
But you had a newfound love for Hotel California.
Yes. No, not so much.
Tell that story. I love this story.
He loves this story. This story is over 20 years old now.
That's scary. That is scary.
So the first time I went to alert, I actually went up as what they call general duties. So I was not performing my trade. I was just more manpower to chisel through permafrost, which is harder than concrete. Not a word of a lie. You can Google it. Anyways, in our off time, we were in our shacks. And they have, for the guys that are up there for the 6 months at a time, the ones who kind of go crazy towards the ends of their tours, well, they're allowed to DJ at the radio station for the base. And one of them had an addiction to only one song. As Don just mentioned, Hotel California. It took me years, literally years, to be able to listen to that song after.
Yeah, I like that. I like that they probably only had 3 albums up there.
No, I saw the collection. It was,
huge?
Well, it wasn't huge. Yours is probably bigger, but...
I haven't heard that before.
But, yeah, it would have filled a wall.
So they definitely had more than
Hotel California.
Not to mention there are many other cuts off that album.
Yeah.
I can't think of any, but lots of great Eagles. I am an Eagles fan.
I don't know, maybe get over it. They could have played that right after it.
There you go. Well, maybe that meant something to him. Do you have a song that you play when you're in a not a great place, or you just feel down?
No, I Facebook when I'm down. So that's why I say worry.
Which means he's never depressed because he's never on Facebook.
That's not true. I've been on 3 times.
Not since I've rekindled with you.
It's deeply. Well, there you go. I haven't been depressed
So why do you
since you rekindled with me.
Most people go on Facebook and they get depressed.
I've heard
Why
that.
do you? I still go on when I'm depressed, and it's not necessarily helpful, but sometimes it does. Why do you go on? And you don't do.
Well,
you don't even post stuff. You just lurk.
Yeah, I'm a lurker.
Though I think you did.
I posted a couple.
You
things,
sent me a
once or twice.
song with my name in it.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen and Bono. I don't remember the song right now, but I know it was Bruce Springsteen and like the boys from U2.
Yes, it was. I'm trying to think of what song, but yeah.
Well, I've also have heard that people who are on their social media all the time tend to get more depressed. So I only go on when I'm depressed because I figure, can it get any worse?
Okay, but what do you look for? Like you look for, look how happy all my friends are. This makes me happy.
I don't know. I think when I'm on there, I'm like, I feel so disconnected from the world that I'm just looking for any connection at the time.
Oh, that's sad.
There you go. See?
That's sad because I post brilliant stuff in there. You should be. If not, look at mine. Well, not this, not the last couple of weeks. You might want to avoid my page, but Mondo Nostalgia is brilliant. Do you even know I do a page called Mondo Nostalgia?
I've heard that.
Okay. That's a verified no.
Don't tell him. I haven't seen it.
No shit. Have you ever listened to a radio podcast?
Yes, I've been here and we've listened to one. We've reviewed one. And we talked about the modern nostalgia after the Halloween party. That's why I say I have heard about it. But I have not listened to it on my own.
See, this is my good friend. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I don't. I create for no one. I create for no one. When I'm dead, they'll listen to this and say, wow, that's pretty damn good.
He made that just for me.
I should have listened.
I wish I'd learned it.
He might have been. I'm kidding. I don't force anyone. And I know I have my loyal followers of 17 or whatever I'm up to or lost. I'm sure I lost a few people in the last couple of weeks. But no, I'm just joking. I never bug anyone. I think everybody worries when you say you have a podcast because they're like, oh shit, I haven't heard it. And then try to find a subtle way to say, oh, I haven't gotten around to that. Have you done like one or two? This is like, we're in our 90s, baby. We're getting there. We're getting there.
He hasn't cracked 100 yet. I'm still good.
Well, we are going to take our first break. I hope you've been okay with it, except that I been forcing you to say stuff. No, we'll be back and we're going to talk about some of your favorite things, some hobbies and stuff, and we'll be back right after this. Hello, we're back with my co-host, David Jamieson. Here's a fun fact. He's never wore his military outfit in front of me because I knows it would turn me on too much.
Oh,
Is it true?
well, I know it's funny because what Don didn't know is my original plans for this weekend. I would have actually showed up on Friday, and I would have still had my uniform on.
Well, that sucks. Why would you tell me something like that? Well, we're moving on. 'Cause
Silence.
Yeah, here's our 2-minute silence, and I'll be playing Christmas music through it.
Excellent.
Of course, this is after Remembrance Day now. It doesn't have. Okay, so when you grew up, you were big. I'm going to get this wrong. You did martial arts.
I did do martial arts.
I said martial arts because I never remember if it's judo, jiu-jitsu, karate.
Because he was safe.
What was it? It was kickboxing?
It was karate with kickboxing, North American kickboxing, not Muay Thai.
Okay.
They're quite different. Muay Thai is probably a lot more dangerous.
You did that quite a lot, like
I did,
because you were like not. I almost said you were in awesome shape when I met. No, you were really in good shape when I met you. You're still in good shape.
I was stringy. Yes.
Yes, he was. I called him like little Wolverine, Jason Statham kind of thing happening. Except I don't think Jason Statham was around when we were friends at first. But no, he was a little wiry guy, and he always was small in stature. I'm not putting him down. It sounds like I'm totally putting you down, but I'm not. But you were like this. I'm gonna, do you miss doing it?
Absolutely, yes. Unfortunately, my spine stopped cooperating a little while ago, so I had to slow down. Last martial art I was doing was Eskrima. So
The stick thing.
The stick thing. I was getting there. Yes, so it's a
Sorry,
Filipino martial art.
I feel like
centered around the use of sticks. Yes.
I feel like I'm his translator. He says the high-tech things, and I'm going, the thing with the sticks, right? Which I never imagined what it was. I always just thought you were using chopsticks. No, I'm sure it looked really cool. Heather will be... I just want to have Heather looking for pictures of this stuff. How do you spell a screama?
You've seen it. You just didn't know you've seen it. They show it on Arrow all the time.
Oh, is that it? Did you do that cool thing with the rack? You know that he does the chin-ups?
That's some new thing. They didn't come up with that till I was out of shape.
But you know what? That's become huge now.
Yes,
people build that in their homes now. Yes. That's hot as fuck. Sorry to interrupt your story.
It is pretty hot.
Sorry, I know they do that on like American Ninja Warrior too. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
No.
I fucking love that show too.
I bet you do.
Any show that I can pull my butt to. Sorry, we're talking to David Jamieson. This is what it is like, not my obsessions. Okay.
No worries.
So, and then you got into yoga. Some maybe.
I did as post injury. Was part of my injury recovery.
How did you get injured, may I ask? Or is it a top secret thing? Or is it a sex thing?
No, I wish.
Oh, well, I know you're into that kinky fetish stuff.
It was that whole armorer thing where when I worked in the bomb dump, ammunition cans weighed more than I did at the time, and I would lift dozens of them every day. From the lift to the putting down would be a 180-degree change in position. So over months and years of doing these lifts, it was just a repetitive injury. Yes. So on one of those lifts, I was the last lift, I guess.
Did you feel it happening? Like, was it one of those?
There was a pop. There was a pop. There wasn't pain. And then the next day there was immense pain.
I was about to say the pain came.
So that was the initial. That was the kind of the initial occurrence. The last severe or the most severe occurrence had nothing to do with lifting anything heavy. In fact, from that initial occurrence, once I'd done my physiotherapy and such, I never hurt myself again doing anything manly or heavy lifting. It was always things like getting out of the shower and drying my foot, or vacuuming. So the one that did it in a manly sport, badminton.
Well,
I didn't realize that I had re-torn the discs in my back. I just realized that I suddenly got slow. I couldn't move my feet fast enough. So not knowing what I had done, smart me said, well, I can't cover the badminton court anymore, so I'll go and I'll play some volleyball, the next most manly sport. And
it is. I saw Top Gun. Come on.
It wasn't beach volleyball.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm only covering a sixth of the court, so I can get to that. Of course, now I have to change levels, high and low, but whatever. And then the next day, I could barely roll out of bed. And I spent the better part of a month flat. So that was bad, but that was like over a decade ago now. And that was when I pretty much had to stop my stick fighting, was at that point.
And did you go into yoga right away with that? Or was that just felt you needed to...
That was not until years later.
Did you do Tai Chi?
Yeah, I did Tai Chi, well, not immediately after the injury, but pretty much at around the same time as the injury.
It's nice that you keep finding stuff you can go to.
That is true.
I've seen Tai Chi. It's different.
It is different. And even the Tai Chi, the Tai Chi that I practiced when I first learned and the Tai Chi that I was learning many years later were immensely different. Even though from just looking from the outside, not knowing, it's like, oh yeah, he's waving his hands slowly. They look the same to me, but they were definitely both very different. The first one had very little combat applications. The second one had a whole bunch. Unfortunately, I was posted here before I could get good enough at that later form of Tai Chi for it to be useful for me. But
so you can actually use Tai Chi in fighting?
Yeah, it doesn't look like Tai Chi anymore when you do it.
Because it's quick?
Because it's quick. Very quick.
I thought, what do? Like, you stop your opponent because you're going these slow moves and they're, like, starting to yawn and then you hit them?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm just kidding. I have all the respect for Tai Chi, a little bit of respect for Tai Chi. And then yoga you chose.
And yoga, right. Well, because of being injured and not being able to move very much, a lot of my muscles tightened up and shortened. So to try and get back some of the flexibility, I started taking yoga. And it helped.
Do you do the full meditating, or do you do that like that modern soccer mom yoga?
No, I don't do soccer mom yoga. In fact, the most meditative yin style of yoga is one that I found I enjoyed the most, even though technically I was the worst at that one. But it helped. It definitely probably contributed to my becoming calmer. And the funniest thing is when people hear that I take yoga, they're like, "Oh, so you can like fold your legs behind your ears?" And I'm like, "No, if I could do that, I wouldn't have to take yoga." I'm probably still one of the most unflexible people that I know, but I was worse when I wasn't doing yoga.
So you did feel it actually helped you?
Absolutely.
Like when you said because when we reconnected, you seemed a little more mellow. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that. Like, not saying you were really edgy. I certainly have friends. We won't mention them, Dave. The other Dave, I know, who like just goes from zero to like nothing. But you did have an intensity, but never like that. But I did notice you were a little mellow, and not in a bad way. You know, I'm probably more edgy than you now.
Probably.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
You heard it. He said he would drink to that.
I'm drinking water.
No.
Now,
military traditions. There's only a few things that you can drink to that with.
Oh well, I'm not in the military.
Hell no, H2O.
You're also you have a huge array of dogs. Okay,
no, I have 60% of a huge array of dogs.
Okay, so yeah, but you have like 3 dogs.
I have 3 dogs.
You are a dog lover, but you like cats too.
I'm actually the Lord of Cats, but I am a dog lover. Cats know when I walk in that, hey, there's the Lord of Cats, and they when they're supposed to be. Two people. It's because it happens. Cats that are like, oh, don't worry, you're not going to see him. He's afraid of people. The cat will come to see me.
I want to take you over to Heather's place right now.
Or be careful, that cat will attack you, and the cat does not attack me. Yeah, I'm Lord of Cats. And
he has business cards that say the Lord of Cats.
It's true.
You know, he'll probably be upset that I told you this, but Mike loves that you said that, because out of nowhere you just I'm the Lord of Cats. And he's just like, did he just say that? And then when you explain it, he goes, no, he totally said that. And he says it with belief. That's what I like about it. You believe. But you have 3 dogs, which makes it even more funnier. Because you think the Lord of Cats would have a house full of cats.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but dogs don't make as much of a mess.
Tell me your dogs. I prefer dogs. I'm a dog person. I like to visit cats, but that's it. Dogs, I get dogs.
Okay, should I go by age or by size?
Go by age.
All right, so the oldest dog is named Mira. She's a little black border collie, husky, whippet, fence jumping mix. She was my ex's. I got her in the divorce.
You won the children.
I got the children. I did. You don't hear that very often. And the next oldest would be Sasha. She is a husky shepherd. So she actually listens. I've called her off of chasing a squirrel, and she sat and came back like she was supposed to. So that's from the German Shepherd blood. She actually listens.
She's part cat.
However, she is now because she's going deaf. So you call her, and she may or may not respond. In fact, she scared me. Thursday this week, I got into the house.
This isn't a sad animal story.
Well, no, because she's still alive. So
okay.
So we're good, but she did scare the poop out of me. So she did scare the poop out of me a little bit. But yeah, I called her. Nothing. So I go over and I see, she's in my recliner. Okay. So I shake the recliner. No movement. I picked her head up. I put her head down. I go, uh-oh. So I touch her. Can't tell. She's got too much fur to tell if she's warm or cold. So then I gave her a shake, and she jumped, and she licked my face. And,
so just
everything was
sleep.
good. Darn deep sleep.
David was almost headed to Facebook.
Almost. It was.
That is sad. Thank you. I'm glad that has a happy ending.
It was scary, yeah.
Nothing hurts the podcast ratings like a sad or a dead animal story.
Yeah. So
well, I'm glad she's all right.
So then the youngest one, and even he's they're all getting old now. He's 11, and that's my young puppy boy. He's Hitcher. He's named Hitcher.
It's a beautiful story.
He's named Hitcher because when I found him, he was chasing cars at the intersection of the only highways in Cold Lake, Highway 28 and 55, and he was chasing any car that went by. So I was obviously afraid he was going to get himself hit. So I opened my door and got out to see if he was okay, and he hopped into my car, curled up in a little ball on the passenger seat, and he hit me with the puppy dog eyes, and, well, obviously I have him still. So Hitcher, because
so if you're looking to get with David, this is basically any single females out there. This is a good way to do it. Just jump in his car, curl up, and give him puppy dog eyes. That's a wonderful story.
So, like I said, Hitcher because hitchhiking, and Hitcher the scary movie, which he so is not.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, you're naming them after scary movies now. Yeah, so your youngest is 11.
11,
wow.
So, and then I had two more. My first dog was an Akita named Tsunami, and I had to have her put down just before I left from Winnipeg. She started having a lot of old dog problems, and it was time to let her go. And the year before that, I lost Brigand, and he was a very big Doberman Shar-Pei cross. He was like the size of a Rottweiler, but he had the coat of a Doberman, and the extra skin only really showed when he would drink or eat and put his head down, and then it would look like he jerseyed himself from the Shar-Pei, and a big muzzle from a Shar-Pei.
Now, I'm going to say something here, and I might be wrong here, but I remember when we were younger, my parents had a dog, Duchess, that died.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you actually flew in one time when I was going through a dog death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you surprised me that you flew in because I was sad, and I was always impressed by that. So that's a dog fan. Like, there's a dog fan that you came in and checked on me, and we're talking from the other side. Like,
yeah, that's a Cold Lake. Yeah, it's a Cold Lake story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you remembered that or not.
I didn't remember it till you mentioned it, but as soon as you mentioned it, I remembered.
Because I was always surprised and moved by that.
That's from my mom. Sorry, Dad.
Anyhow, we are going to talk, because I know you don't want to talk about boring military stuff. That's your whole life, and I'm always afraid that you're going to cross the line and then call me up. Don't air that story about my officer that I told you because I was too comfortable with that one day. But I want to talk to you about another love of yours, because I have officially come out saying that I'm a role player, and I want to talk role playing and what you love about it, because you just started getting to play again.
Yes.
So any non-nerds out there, is that this the time to turn it off, because it's going to get really,
Go fix a sandwich.
And we'll talk about that next. We're back. I'm here with my co-host, David Jamieson. Thank you again for doing this. We've been friends. We probably aren't going to be friends at the end of this, though.
We're doing all right so far.
I'm kidding. Yeah, some people are probably thinking, you got a military guy there. Why don't you talk to him about the military? But I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm like, there's a reason you can't. You're not allowed to have a Facebook, right? Because you use some weird name,
Right, I use some weird name because it's encouraged.
Right. Did they actually tell you do not? Because I noticed some people drop their last name, or they
just encourage you to make it so that you're more difficult to look up.
Yeah.
Because they can only
for your safety,
they can forbid you to talk about operations and where you're
which
going,
I wouldn't be asking you about, like trade
and where
secrets,
you're going and things like that. But they can't forbid you from having social media. That's like forbidding a person from using the phone.
But they don't want you also having pictures of you, like, swilling, keg parties and stuff.
Correct. Or, here's me loading a missile. Yes, we don't do that. Well, we do that. We just don't talk about doing that.
Well, they always have those videos of, like, soldiers doing, like, pop songs.
Yes.
Do you think people in the higher-ups cringe over that kind of stuff?
I have no idea what they think.
What do you think about it?
I think they're hilarious.
Okay, so I'm not allowed to put Christmas music on, but it's okay when, like, everybody's doing Call Me Maybe.
Absolutely. I showed that to you.
I know, but what I'm saying is we have a very weird perception of the Army. Anyhow, I just wondered if you're actually told you cannot have social media.
Well, since you mentioned that, I did some speaking for Veterans Week in the past week.
Nice.
And one of the younger groups that I spoke to, so like grade 4 or 5,
yeah.
A girl asked me, I found this a very strange question. She said, "How come you're so happy?" And I said, I don't understand the question. She said, "Well, in the movies they're always angry and loud, and how come you look happy?" I said, "Well, because I'm serving Canada. I'm helping our society continue as it is," which obviously I think our society is a pretty good society. Otherwise, why would I want to defend it? So
there you go. That's a nice answer. Is that true, or is that your standard you have to give? No.
No, that's a true answer.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, you sacrifice a lot. You've sacrificed a lot serving your country.
I guess
relationships, family, like not everybody does that, but you have.
Right.
And, so that's huge. But at the end of the day, you still say, that's what I wanted to do, and I did it.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing. I can't say that. I don't serve my country. My country doesn't really serve me, but that's another story, and that's why we're moving on to role-playing.
Woo!
Now this is not the kinky role-playing, like,
woo.
I dress up as a doctor, and he's a nurse. I decided to take the top. We'll leave it at that. No, this is, Dungeons and Dragons. That's the one everybody seems to know. But I actually not recently, but on one of my episodes, I talked about how I love that it's becoming more open to talk about. Because we grew up at a time where if you talked about it, you were like, nerd. And we also grew up at a time where if you talked about it, people would just be like, have their fingers as crosses, like.
That one translated very well to radio, I must say.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I'll do it when we're like together on a picture. But so it's not because people that role play out now. I love that people are dusting off their old boxes and and bringing them out. Role playing. Keep your minds here. Because several people that role play.
I do. I can say I have friends all across the country. All the way from coast to the Quebec border.
And what
Sorry, Maritimes.
What was your introduction to role playing? Like, what game did you play?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Did you almost give me a date? Because that's really nerdy. If you just were about to say June. You were going to give me an actual date. Actual nerd in the studio, people. No, I'm just kidding. Do you actually know the date that you started?
No, I was going to give you a name.
Oh, June Cleaver
introduced me to role playing.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I won't interrupt anymore. Maybe I actually learned something.
Oh, it was funnier your way.
Okay. I literally thought you were going June 15th. No, it would have been 2. It would have been 19 something.
Yes.
So what was your first game you played? Do you remember? Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons, Module B.
Oh, we don't need to know that.
Keep on the Borderlands.
Jesus, you're worse than me.
Lots of people probably had that as
I know. There's probably
module.
A couple of people listening, wet now. Thinking, I remember that game.
We can only hope.
Did you paint your little figures?
I've painted some, especially because I eventually did some battle tech as well, and, it's cooler to paint the robots. Also easier.
Yeah, I remember I painted my first figure. I didn't play Dungeons & Dragons long. Mike has a sadder story about Dungeons and Dragons, I think.
Oh.
He does. He literally... I'm surprised I actually get him to roleplay now, because his story... I just basically met a group that did it, and we played like twice. My character died because I was way too thing, and I said, but I spent all that time painting my figure, and now he's dead. And then I said, you know what? I gotta find a new way to roleplay. And no, but Mike actually went to like a group in his school, and he was enjoying the hell out of it, and I think they actually asked him to leave because he wasn't very good.
Oh.
That's sad.
That is sad.
That is.
That's high school.
That's rough. I might have told that story wrong, but I'm pretty sure they said, could you not come back? Which, when you're getting thrown out by a bunch of people sitting around playing Dungeons and Dragons, does it get any lower than that? I feel badly for him. But anyhow, he role plays now, so it wasn't obviously a nightmare.
Or he's
I
overcome
remember
the phobia.
I played Battletech a little bit with you.
Yes.
We played a night, and then you said, okay, we're done. That was 3 minutes worth of play.
Okay, yes, I remember that.
And I said, what the fuck? Because you had to get like 9 books out just to see where I was hit. And I said, I need to fucking change this.
And he has.
Now, I've tried to explain people my role playing, but it's almost impossible, so I'm going to put it in your hands now.
Okay. Last year, military story, sort of. Part of our professional development day, not fall 2016, but fall 2015, we had a movie producer, Canadian, Daniel Lee, came up and spoke to the personnel of SIFSATE, and from his description of storyboarding a movie, our role-playing is very close to storyboarding movies. The only real difference is we have a little bit of a random factor from our cards and our dice, but not to the degree that a game of Dungeons and Dragons or Battletech or, for the real book lovers of gaming, Phoenix Arms, where you can follow a bullet for an hour and a half as it rips through a spleen.
How is that fun?
You have to be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I will just say yeah. That's all I got.
Like the next, I would say the next closest thing to the realm of Devlin's role-playing would be the LARP. Live action role players. They probably come the next closest.
I would say so too. I think... Yeah, after I played a couple of different ones, I loved it, but I didn't love it. I loved it because I loved the story, the journey, but I hated that it took so long. And it's like, I want to find a way to move these stories and get more emotionally involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like when my thief died in Dungeons and Dragons, it was literally over so quickly. And I said, I didn't really get the chance to get to know him, and I didn't really... And I'm not saying I don't like games where you don't have a chance to die, but I was just thinking that I needed more. So I decided we'd take some of the things, like some of the dice, take some of the cards, but we act out the scenes more than just, like a couple of awkward Dungeons & Dragons players trying to say, I'm looking for a map. Could I get a beer and you could point me to someone who may have the map? I wanted to put emotions in it. I wanted to put fucking in it. I wanted to put fighting more into it and have a couple of fights in one night. Not just, okay, that's 3 minutes of fighting. Thanks for coming. We'll finish this fight by August. And for the few people that have played my role-playing, I think they've liked it, but it's not for everybody.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I think some people would absolutely hate it, but I think people who like storytelling, soap operas, dare I say, because I grew up with fantasy films, stuff like that. But I was also a big soap watcher, and you can tell that in my storytelling. But I don't feel badly, because now that I see all these new TV shows and stuff, soap operas, I don't care what you say, you could dress them up in anything. David is now massaging his feet, trying to get me hot during this, I just wanted to say. I don't have a foot fetish, but ankles do it for me. Anyhow, back to role-playing. Did you like the style right away? Because being a loner, was it hard for you to get into when we first started playing? I know I'm taking you way back.
That would be Frank McDougal, I believe, was first.
Our first
so
game
I'm going to
was...
go with no, I don't think I had a problem at all.
No, you seem to jump right into it.
Yeah.
But we had a really cool group of friends that were open, and
yes, we do.
We still do. Like, the people that we started role-playing, I think it was after high school.
Your game after high school,
you played. And we did a game first, Star Wars Legacy. Now, I actually sort of role-played before that, but I didn't know it was role-playing. It was when I was a kid, when I was playing with Star Wars things.
Absolutely.
Me and my friend Wayne, I shouldn't say his last name because he's a bigwig and he might not want people to know he played with toys. But we did a lot of this stuff, and then I realized this is kind of what I do. So if I can take the two worlds. But yeah, we used to stay up all night. Like back in the days when we had no lives.
Yes, we did.
And
what did you do for Christmas vacation? Well, I slept for 3 hours.
Yes.
The rest of the time, I opened some presents once, ate some turkey, and then I roleplayed.
Oh, it was crazy. There were times that we'd roleplay all night, sleep, do some stuff, and then we were all on the phone saying, "You think you can meet tonight?" Those were amazing.
Yes.
And then life gets in the way.
Absolutely.
But the good news is that I have continued to roleplay, and I always thought I'd have to give it up. Like, I always thought I'd have to grow up one day, and that's it. Now, you went through a long phase. But before we get to that, this is how dedicated this man was. When you went to Cold Lake, you must have rang up phone bills aplenty, because he would phone on Saturday night to do scenes so he could still be part of the game.
So this was before they had long-distance packages, and you're absolutely correct.
He is broke to this day.
That could be true. My peak phone bill 1 month, $700.
Really?
There were a couple of $400 months as well.
Wow.
So yes.
And no 1-800 numbers.
And no 1-800 numbers. Just
some of the scenes we did were hotter than 1-800 numbers. That's all I'll say.
That is true.
Because I'm winking. I'm actually winking. Well, that does not work on a radio show.
Neither did my grand arm gesture earlier. I thought about that after I made fun of your finger cross.
That's all right. You've met my friend Damien. He was here for my Halloween show, and he actually thought I was putting the cam on.
Oh.
And I asked him to bring a mask over, and I stupidly told him that we were doing the radio show.
Uh-huh.
I could have had him sitting there in the fucking mask for the whole show and then tell them at the end that it's just the radio portion. He is smart. He would have figured it out, but funny as hell if I did. Yeah, you were dedicated, and we would literally talk to him and do, like, this was a universe we did.
Absolutely.
Now,
the worst part is that he predicted midichlorians.
I did. In our Star Wars Legacy game, we actually did it about 100 years past Jedi, so we didn't conflict. And then when we saw Phantom Menace, which was already brilliant because our villain was known as the Phantom, and I actually predicted midichlorians. I never used that term, but I did a story. And you were in the theater, and you said, "Oh my God, that fucking story would work."
Yeah, and I even phoned as soon as I got back from seeing the. I think I might have called you a bastard.
You did, because
it was accurate.
But that's how big our show were. Like, Corda's, I remember she made shirts for us. Like, I remember we had a little embroidered logos. We
And the mugs.
We had mugs.
Mm-hmm.
We did a board game. I don't think we ever played it, but her and her brother made this huge board game. Yeah, we were taking it to new levels. Now, you went through a stretch where you didn't get to play it.
I did.
Was it rough? But you constantly kept the ideas of it, right? You
Yeah.
made like modules and stuff, right?
It's something like that, yeah. Well, basically, there's still aren't that many role players in the world, and you go out into a small town in the middle of nowhere, and you make a group, but then, because it's a military group, people move away, and then you end up without a group.
We had a small stretch where we weren't in contact with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got back together, were you surprised that I was still role-playing through those years?
I was. Absolutely.
Like, you were like...
I was pleasantly surprised.
And you were surprised. I had multiples going.
Yes. Show off.
No, I'm just... yeah, a lot of people, like, as I said, I talk about it openly now. It's a little weird because even Mike said he's talked about it openly, where before you'd mention it and you could tell the people who were, what the hell is role-playing? But then others are like, oh, really? Where do you role-play? I've gotten a few people newer in it, but I know people that role-play that I wouldn't even invite them because I know they're book people. They need to see every aspect of it. And with mine, it doesn't always get that way. A cool-looking scene will be let go.
Cool scene rules over rules.
Right. So we now do a two-person one, and it can be done. Mm-hmm. Some people out there don't think that two people role-playing can be done. Because they just think it's dirty stuff.
Yes.
But we've proven it. I've done it. Mike and I do one.
Yeah.
And then I do another one with 4 of us. Mm-hmm. And then you and I started one. And I was a little nervous because I usually, when I hit 3, it sometimes too much. And 1 usually, like, I was really worried when we did ours, I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. Because by the time I do 3, I find that 1... loses something. 1 starts, but I have managed to juggle these 3, and they've all worked. And if you had your way, we'd be doing 4 because you'd love to do another one on top of that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But are you happy to be back role playing? Because you seem thrilled.
Delighted. I am delighted.
My friends have always said that we would like to all be just old people sitting around role-playing.
Absolutely.
Because, David, this past Christmas is the first time you've kind of been... We've been close now for a couple of years again. Mm-hmm. But he's now closer, so he can come visit more often.
Yes.
And this was the first Christmas that we were kind of... You reunited with all the people in the Star Wars gang. And Mike, he knows Mike a little bit now. Yeah. So, and it was... Was it scary how close that we just started talking? Like,
no, that was
we were back. Like,
it was,
no time passed.
It was. I expected it from when you and I got back in touch.
Yeah, but honestly, were you nervous when we met face to face? Because we made up on the phone.
Right.
We finally just talked. Mm-hmm. But were you nervous? Like, I know I was meeting
absolutely.
She was your wife at the time, right, Allison?
Yes.
Yeah. So were you nervous? Because I was.
Absolutely.
Because we had made up on the phone, but this was the first time we were going to see
each other. And she was the one who had prompted. So.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I had to thank her.
Yeah, she said, well, you obviously miss him. Why don't you just try and fix things up?
Yeah, and we did on the phone, but that still didn't make it. Like, it was going to be... No, because we still thought there was... Because there's that... What's that word here? There's the moment of awkwardness that you know how close you were. Like, you and I were very close. Mm-hmm. And then you're just afraid that you're going to see something in that person where it doesn't... Like, even though it's not going to be the same again, there's that... You can feel the other person wants to be in that place. But if there's any moment that you see they don't, it's heartbreaking, right? So I didn't let you down, I guess, when we met.
Obviously not.
No, I didn't either. And I was probably just like you. I was very nervous. I was just like, is this going to work? Is this going to... But we did have Mike and Allison there, so that helps a little. Mike,
Yes.
well, Mike
yes.
doesn't talk a lot, but I talked with Allison a lot.
But they referee very well.
They do,
And
apparently.
luckily, they didn't have to at all. They just got to sit back and be entertained, I think.
Well, I thank Allison. I still see her on Facebook. She still comes sees me, because she's liking shit left and right on my thing, and I tell you things that are going on in her life. I'm kidding. But no, I didn't know that. I'm thankful for her, and I'm glad we're back to where we were, and I am so happy you get to role play again. Eventually, we will invite the others in. It'll be interesting to see if we can all role play again. But we're not sure Dave, our other friend Dave. I haven't been inviting him back because he said something horrible to me, saying that he's never enjoyed role-playing since the first one, and you never tell me that. You can tell me you dislike something, but telling me, because I think I just get better with age, and I'm talking role-playing here.
Jeez.
So, hopefully we will continue and live that dream that one day when you are back, because that's your game plan, you want to come back to Hamilton or in this area.
In the area, for sure, yes.
And then we will role play in our retirement years.
Mm-hmm.
That would be wonderful. Anyhow, I am going to wrap things up now. I hope you had a great time talking.
I did.
I'm going to give you homework out there, listeners. Just because we kind of talked... No, not you. You don't get homework. I rekindled with an old friend here. If you have a friend out there that you haven't seen in a while, I'm going to urge you right now that in the next week, you contact them. I don't care if you call them, whether you send them a little email. Do it. Time is precious. Do not lose any of it. We stupidly did, but we got it back. And it doesn't matter how you get it back. Because I'll tell you, we don't think about the time we're apart. We just think about, damn, we could have still been... doing stuff. So now we concentrate on what we do now and what we will do in the future. And please, don't waste any more time. Sometimes it is the stupidest things that take us apart. I feel this is my Jerry Springer moment. If you don't know who that is, you're not old enough to be listening to this show. No, I'm kidding. Anyhow, do it, because time is precious. David, thank you for doing this. I know I put you on the spot, but you were a champ.
Thank you.
And would you like to say goodbye to my adoring 17 fans?
Goodbye, adoring 17 fans. You can't see my hand waving, but it is.
I know, this is a show of gestures. We're actually doing the show totally naked right now, so there's an image for you. But we have to get clothes on to do the photo shoot. Hello. Anyhow, you have a great night, and I will talk to you very soon.